What's going on, everybody? Today, we're going to go over the top 5 UFC fighters that were never champion. Starting off with number 5, Stephen Thompson. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the nicest mother crapper out there, And he beat some really good opponents. I have him right here, Kevin Holland, Geoff Neal, Vicente Luque, Jorge Masvidal, Rory McDonald, Robert Whittaker, Jake Ellenberger, and Johnny Hendricks. Uh, to symbolize it, the way I'm going by this list is the two criterias for becoming the best UFC fighter without being a champion. The way to get on this list is just the names of the fighters, level of competition, kind of just level, just the level of competition you're fighting and how good they are, and if that makes sense, I guess. But just level of competition, who you're fighting. Number 4, uh, Gilbert Burns. He's really good, great submissions, really good knockout power. He beat Jorge Masvidal, Neil Magny, Stephen Thompson, Tyron Woodley, Damian Maia, Gunnar Nelson, Alex Oliveira. The reason I put him above Stephen Thompson, I think he's fought better. I don't think he's fought the better competition, though. I mean, when you compare it, he beat more champions. He beat Tyron Woodley, who's the only champion on this list, and I think that's a good reason I put him on here. I think when you compare the names, if you compare like Gunnar Nelson and Alex Oliveira, you could definitely say, well, Robert Whittaker is better, Johnny Hendricks is better, Vicente Luque is better, but I think having that champion status on your resume, he beat Tyron Woodley. I think that kind of seals the deal because Stephen Thompson had 2 fights with Woodley, can never beat him. And then Gilbert Burns goes in there and beats him pretty convincingly too. I just think he's above him in that way. Moving on to number 3, Nate Diaz. He beat Tony Ferguson, Anthony Pettis, Conor McGregor, Michael Johnson, Jim Miller, Don Cerrone. Really, really good names. He beat Anthony Pettis, Conor McGregor, who were both lightweight champion. Conor was featherweight champion at the time as well. He was holding the belt. Well, he wasn't lightweight champion when he fought him, but he was featherweight champion. Trying to move up to lightweight, and Rafael dos Anjos had to pull out, so Nate Diaz fought him. But I know people will complain about the Tony Ferguson win. Well, Tony Ferguson's like 40, and he's like on a 6-fight losing streak. All these other things, but in my opinion, look, a win is a win. I'm not gonna discredit Nate Diaz's wins. Would I say he has better resume than these two? I mean, for sure. He beat 2 champions, one who's lightweight champion and one who's featherweight champion, Conor McGregor, and then he beat Anthony Pettis, who was a lightweight champion. He beat Tony Ferguson, who was interim lightweight champion, who was on a freaking 12-fight win streak. Who, man, come on, let's talk about that. So number 2, obviously, um, Tony Ferguson. He beat Donald Cerrone. He beat Anthony Pettis, Rafael dos Anjos, Josh Thompson, Abel Trijulo. I tried spelling it, didn't even pronouncing it. I looked on Google and I don't think I spelled it correctly. I think I pronounced it wrong. And then Gleason Tebow. Uh, he just Tony Ferguson lightweight win streak, the 12-fight win streak was amazing. The boogeyman of the division, who people consider the best lightweight or like the second best lightweight, and I want to disagree if you consider him the best. I want to disagree if you consider him like number 2 or 3 or maybe top 5. But he beat Donald Cerrone, who beat a lot of great fighters. Um, Anthony Pettis was lightweight champion. Rafael dos Anjos was lightweight champion. Josh Thompson, who basically knocked out Nate Diaz. I mean, and he finished Gleason Tebow. Habib Nurmagomedov could never finish Gleason Tebow, bro. Struggled to take him down. He beat Donald Cerrone, and he's just really, really great names. Really, really, it's a great list of names. And I wish we could have seen him versus Habib or him versus Conor. That'd be amazing. And moving on to number 1, the greatest UFC fighter of all time to never hold a actual belt. I know Tony and Dustin were interim champions, but are those really championship belts? I mean, yes, it's a championship belt, but it's not the championship belt. Habib did not. Habib fought like once a year, and so Max Holloway moved up to fight for the interim belt against Dustin Poirier. The UFC made that fight happen to crown an interim champion to fight against Khabib, because Khabib for some reason wasn't fighting at that time. After the Conor McGregor fight, it was like a long layoff. And one of the reasons I truly believe, and I don't think you could come up with a better argument than Dustin Poirier being the best fighter to never hold a belt. Because look at the names he's fought. Look at the list. He beat Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor twice. Leg kick does count for anyone who says it doesn't. Dan Hooker, Max Holloway twice. Submitted him the first time and then beat him the second time by just outstriking him. It was a really, really good match. He was obliterating Max Holloway's face. He beat Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis, Jim Miller, Bobby Green. Just a great resume of fighters. Now, people will say that, well, maybe you could argue Tony Ferguson is the best fighter to never hold a belt. He had a 12-fight win streak. You look at Topology, look at MMA Sheerdog, or look at the UFC website, official UFC website. Dustin Poirier's never had a bigger win streak than 7 or 8. I think it was 7-fight win streak was his highest. But he beat better. I think he 100% beat better competition than Tony Ferguson. If you look at these names, I forgot to add Edson Barboza to that list. Dang it. Okay, Edson Barboza should be on this list, but he's not. But I forgot. But if we Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor, Max Holloway, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje is already a better list than whatever this is. Like, all respected Josh Thompson, Abel, and Gleason, and Donald Cerrone, but these names are just a better name, just better resume of names. Because if we're counting UFC champions, he beat Conor McGregor, right, who was UFC and UFC featherweight and lightweight. He beat Max Holloway, who was UFC featherweight. He beat Eddie Alvarez, who was lightweight champion. Justin Gaethje, lightweight interim champion, but that doesn't really count. Anthony Pettis, who was the lightweight champion. He beat 4 champions. If you want to count Justin, fine. That's 5 technical champions. If we're talking the amount of MMA, like mixed martial arts champions he beat, no, that would be 5. Because I don't count Justin Gaethje. Because, like, Michael Chandler, right? Bellator. Michael Chandler, Bellator champion. That's 1 champion. Conor McGregor was featherweight and lightweight. So he beat 2 champions. And Eddie Alvarez was lightweight champion. And he was Bellator champion. That's 3 champions right there. He beat Justin Gaethje. Okay, nope, never mind. No wait, yeah, Justin Gaethje wasn't he champion? Wasn't he like a Cage Warrior champion? I thought he was champion. I thought he was champion in like a different division, or not but yeah, WSOF champ. So how many mixed martial art champions would that be? Michael Chandler, Bellator, Conor McGregor, UFC featherweight and lightweight, Max Holloway, lightweight, Eddie Alvarez, Bellator and UFC, Justin Gaethje, interim champion, that doesn't count, and then WSOF champion, and then Anthony Pettis, lightweight champion. That's 6 champions. He beat 6 champions. That's crazy to me. He beat 6 champions. That is really crazy to me. Dang. First Bellator champion? So he beat the most amount of champions I think anyone's beat in the UFC ever. Who else in the UFC defeated 6 mixed martial arts champions? That's crazy. But honestly, that's a really short video, but it's all I got. I'll just make a quick video for today. I was going through my greatest of all time list. I'm currently making a list for who I think the top 32 or 35 UFC fighters are of all time. It's going to be like a huge video. I might cut it down to like either 25 or maybe 30. But the guys on my list totally deserve to be in the conversation. So there's a lot of fighters who deserve to be in the conversation. So it's a video that's been in the making since last year. And I know it sounds crazy, because I'm waiting for, I don't know, it's tough. I'm going to wait till after UFC 300, and then I'll probably start making the list officially and then record it. So it might not be till like next year, honestly, because Leon Edwards is scheduled to fight. Sean O'Malley's scheduled to fight. Alexander has a fight. Sean Strickland has a fight. You know, because depending on how those how those 4 fights go, or those 2 or 3 fights or whatever, affects my list. Because if Alexander loses to Ilya Taporia, they'll have a rematch. And then what if he loses the rematch? What if he wins? What if Alexander wins? What would you place him? Top 5, top 15? You know. What if Sean O'Malley wins? What would you place him? Number 30, number 29? He's good. That's one title defense. He beat Aljamain, he beat Yan, who's also champion, who beat Jose Aldo, who beat Uriah Faber, who beat Dominic Cruz. And I'm not trying to use some MMA math, but that's just a video for another time. But in my opinion, the greatest fighter in the UFC history who never held a belt would be Dustin Poirier. One more time, we're gonna read the list. Got Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor twice, Dan Hooker, Max Holloway twice, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis, Jim Miller, and Bobby Green. In my opinion, if I was to say who's the best fighter in the UFC that's never held a belt, like the official championship belt, because he went for the lightweight belt, he lost to Habib. He can never get that championship belt. If you were to ask me who was the best UFC fighter of all time to never hold the official undisputed belt, I would say Dustin Poirier. 100% it's Dustin Poirier. But that's the video. That's it for today.